Hi, my name is Michael Pang. I'm creating this video to complement my portfolio online. While you can see everything in my portfolio online, I felt that it would be easier and helpful for readers to actually watch a video of me as if I was there in person to help provide context to the book that I made. So first off, here we have my cover. And so the idea behind this cover is that I'm a seeker. And so what better way to objectify a seeker than a missile? And so the story behind this cover is actually I didn't know how to use Adobe Photoshop or Illustrator. And so I decided to come up with a different way of creating a design. And so I actually used my iPad to draw this cover and design my whole book. So, and that's the reason why it's like this. Now we can start on the first page. So here, it's just, I created it in a style of comic book. The idea is that, why am I a secret? A missile. Here we have, all the traits that a missile has, such as it's unpredictable, has a powerful engine, and has advanced targeting system, just as planners have a target as well. Now, when I reach that target and insight, I blow your mind with my insight. Now here is a little blurb about me. Essentially, this is talking about how curiosity is my compass, and I just follow where my curiosity leads me. And it usually leads me to some really interesting problems that need to be solved. So what I've discovered about problem solving is that it's something that is really satisfying because it's something you have to do on your own, with your own ability to think, to create, to whatever it is. It's something that once you solve that problem, it can't be taken away from you, nor can it be given to you. So it's a really satisfying feeling. Now, here we have a table of contents. I have 3 case studies here. There's Coca-Cola, there's Nikon, and there's Royal Caribbean. I'm not going to go into all 3 of them. I'll just go into Coca-Cola just to give you a sense of what the cases are like. So here we have the first brief, which is Coca-Cola. Essentially, the challenge is that Coca-Cola sales have been declining for quite a bit now, and so how are we going to reverse that trend and sell more Coca-Cola in North America? And so we looked into the why of why Coca-Cola sales were trending down in general. And so it's not just Coca-Cola, but like the entire category. And we realized it's due to the fact that there's a trend in health awareness, that people are realizing that soda in general is not healthy for you. It can contribute to diabetes, obesity, and all these other problems as well. And so thinking about the target, I thought about who drinks Coke a lot, and I thought about my mother. My mother loves Coca-Cola. She still drinks it to this day. She'll never change her mind about that. And no matter what you say about health consequences and whatnot, she probably would not change her drinking habits. Whereas the health trend of health awareness is much more prevalent amongst younger generations, such as those in the millennial category of like 30 and under. And they're the ones that are most affected by this. And so we realize that the older generation is sort of already set. It's the newer generation that needs to be convinced and needs to be cultivated as new customers in order for Coca-Cola to survive in the future. And so thinking more about the target, we thought that millennials who were growing up and they were looking forward to adult life, while they were going to college. They had all these dreams of, working at Goldman Sachs or something and going to New York and just starting their own life. And then the problem was that reality sort of hit. This generation has experienced one of the worst financial crises in recent history. It's been through a 10-year war. It's been terrorism, unemployment, debt. And so then instead of that rosy kind of future that they were hoping for, they instead graduate with bleak employment prospects, and they're also $50,000 in debt. And so the insight is that basically growing up now sucks. Making that transition to adulthood actually is not as great as they thought it would be, but growing up in the past was much more fun. And what I mean by that is that this insight was actually inspired when we went to a bar for my birthday. They played a Backstreet Boys song, and everybody just started singing along with that song. And it was something that was very instantaneous and authentic. It wasn't something that needed to be forced. And so delving into that further, it's the same thing whether it's like Super Nintendo, Pokemon, or scooters. Thinking about those things for this generation makes them happy and makes them kind of want to go back to those days. So we realized that Coca-Cola can't compete on a logical basis. You can't just tell people that it's not that bad. They're just not going to be convinced. Whereas if you tie Coca-Cola to an emotional benefit, and especially tying it to the ones that millennials are most familiar with from their childhood, then Coca-Cola has a much higher chance of being successful. And so the strategy here is growing up doesn't mean growing old. And so here the creative is grow young. And so here the idea is that we want to take things that were from the 90s and try to integrate that with Coca-Cola. So here we have a Light Bright, where essentially we modeled this ad after Light Bright. You could put this in a public area where it's like a lot of people walking past, and so you could put it next to the vending machine for Coca-Cola. And if you buy a Coca-Cola, you would get 5 pegs, and then you could plug it into this actual ad, and so it will light up. So the more people that come and buy a Coca-Cola and plug their pegs in, the more it will light up. And the goal is to create, a fully finished ad. And so if you think about it, it's actually like a crowdsourced ad that requires participation from consumers. And then here we have a few more executions. So for example, this is a print ad that you can actually fold into a paper airplane because of all these lines that encourage you to fold it. Here we have a fortune-telling ad where you can fold it up into a fortune-telling toy. Here we have bubble wrap in a magazine, where basically imagine if this is on the back of a magazine, and you feel it, and it makes you want to turn around, and then you see the ad, and it makes you want to pop the bubbles. And then we had additional creative ideas here as well, but that's essentially the main idea. And then here I have Nikon, and then Royal Caribbean. And then here we have interests and inspirations. So I like to play guitar. I picked it up like last year, but I found that's really fun. I like to cook. So here's Ramen Burger, which is all the craze last year in New York. Here's some people I admire, like LeBron James and John Mayer. And here's my resume. Essentially, I worked in PR before, in both finance and technology. So I understand those two verticals very well. Here's my education. I went to Cornell, and I went to Miami Art School. And that's it. Thank you.